The cardboard box slipped from my hands, crashing to the floor with a dull thud, spilling books and trinkets across the hardwood. My heart stopped not from the mess, but from the way Sophia looked at me, her blue eyes cutting through the chaos like a lighthouse in a storm. In that split second, I knew helping her move wasn't just about packing boxes. It was about unpacking something far more dangerous. My heart. I'd known Sophia for years, ever since we were awkward teens sneaking into dive bars in our small Ohio town, dreaming of bigger lives. Back then, she was the spark, bold, fearless, with a laugh that could make the stars jealous. I was the shadow, always trailing her, content to bask in her light. Now at 28, I was still Elena, the quiet one, the planner, the one who showed up with packing tape and a color-coded checklist to help Sophia move out of her Chicago apartment. She was 30 now, still radiant, still reckless, her blonde hair chopped shorter than I remembered, her leather jacket slung over a chair like a dare. "Elena, you're a lifesaver," Sophia said, her voice warm but tinged with something heavier, grief, maybe, or exhaustion. She called me last week, her voice shaky over the phone, saying she was leaving Chicago after a messy breakup with her girlfriend, Claire. I didn't ask questions. I just booked a train ticket from my tiny apartment in Columbus and showed up, ready to help my oldest friend start over. But standing in her half-empty living room, surrounded by boxes and memories, I felt a pull I couldn't name. The apartment was a snapshot of Sophia's life. Polaroids pinned to a corkboard, dog-eared poetry books, a chipped mug she'd stolen from a diner we used to haunt. I knelt to gather the spilled books, my fingers brushing over a worn copy of Giovanni's Room. "Still reading, Baldwin?" I asked, trying to keep things light. She crouched beside me, her shoulder grazing mine. "Always. He gets it, love, pain, all the messy stuff." Her voice was soft, and when I looked up, her eyes were on me, not the book. My breath caught. Sophia had always been intense, but this felt different. Like she was seeing me for the first time. We worked in silence for a while, packing dishes and folding clothes, the air thick with unspoken words. I'd always been good at hiding my feelings, my fears, the way my heart raced when Sophia laughed or slung an arm around me in that easy, careless way of hers. I'd spent years telling myself it was just friendship, just admiration. But now, with every glance she stole, every accidental touch, I felt the walls I'd built crumbling. By late afternoon, the sun was sinking, casting long shadows across the room. Sophia flopped onto the couch, patting the spot beside her. "Take a break, Elena. You're gonna burn out before we even get to the heavy stuff." I hesitated, then sat, clutching a water bottle like a lifeline. She leaned back, her head tilted toward me, her fingers toying with a small silver locket around her neck. I'd never seen it before. "What's that?" I asked, nodding toward it. Her smile faded, and she unclasped it, holding it out. "Claire gave it to me. Said it was her grandmother's. I should probably give it back, but..." She trailed off, her thumb tracing the engraved initials on the locket's surface. "You don't have to decide now," I said, my voice softer than I meant. I wanted to ask about Claire, about what had gone wrong, but the words felt too heavy. Instead, I reached for the locket, my fingers brushing hers. The contact sent a jolt through me, and I pulled back, heat rising to my cheeks. Sophia didn't move. She just watched me, her expression unreadable. "You're always so careful, Elena," she said finally. "Always holding back. Why?" The question hit like a punch. I opened my mouth to protest, to deflect, but nothing came out. She leaned closer, her knee bumping mine, her eyes searching. "What are you so afraid of?" I wanted to say everything. I was afraid of the way my heart pounded when she was near. Afraid of ruining the one friendship that had anchored me through every storm. Afraid of admitting I'd loved her since we were 16, sneaking beers under a starlit sky, when she told me she wanted to see the world and I'd wanted to follow her anywhere. Instead, I stood, muttering something about needing to pack the kitchen. But Sophia grabbed my wrist, her grip gentle but firm. "Don't run from me," she whispered. "Not today." My pulse thundered. The room felt too small, the air too thick. I looked down at her hand on my wrist, then into her eyes, and saw something I'd never dared to hope for: vulnerability, longing, a mirror of my own heart. "Sophia," I started, but my voice broke. She stood, closing the distance between us. "Elena, I'm a mess right now. My life's falling apart, and I don't know what I'm doing. But you're here, and that's the only thing that feels right." Her words hung between us, fragile and heavy. I wanted to pull away to protect myself, but I was tired of running, tired of hiding. So I stayed rooted to the spot as she stepped closer, her breath warm against my cheek. And then, before I could think, her lips brushed mine, a tentative, fleeting kiss that felt like the start of a revolution. I froze, my mind screaming to pull back, but my heart had other plans. I kissed her back, soft at first, then deeper, my hands finding her waist as years of unspoken love poured out. When we finally pulled apart, her eyes were wide, her breath uneven. "I didn't plan that," she whispered, a nervous laugh escaping her. "But I'm not sorry." I wanted to say something profound, something to match the seismic shift in my chest, but all I managed was, "Me neither." We stood there, caught in the gravity of what we'd done, the apartment around us a silent witness to the line we'd crossed. The locket lay forgotten on the couch, a relic of a past Sophia was leaving behind. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the room in hues of gold and pink, I realized this was only the beginning of her new chapter, of use, of something terrifying and beautiful. But the world doesn't stop for revelations. The next morning, as we resumed packing, a knock at the door shattered the fragile bubble we'd created. Sophia opened it, and there stood Claire, her ex, her face a mix of determination and pain. "We need to talk," she said, her eyes flicking to me, then back to Sophia. My stomach dropped. Whatever came next, I knew it would test everything we just dared to claim. Claire's presence filled the room like a storm cloud, heavy and unpredictable. She was tall, with sharp cheekbones and dark hair pulled into a tight bun, her eyes scanning the apartment as if cataloging every change since she'd left. I stood frozen by a stack of boxes, clutching a roll of packing tape, while Sophia's posture stiffened, her easy confidence replaced by something guarded. "Claire, what are you doing here?" Sophia's voice was steady, but I caught the tremor beneath it. She glanced at me, a fleeting look that felt like an apology, and my heart sank. Last night's kiss, the warmth of her lips, the weight of her confession felt like a dream dissolving in the morning light. "I came to get my things," Claire said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Her gaze landed on the locket, still on the couch where Sophia had left it. "And to talk. You can't just disappear after 3 years, Sophia." The air grew thick with tension. I wanted to vanish, to slip out and let them sort through their history, but my feet wouldn't move. Sophia and Claire had been together for years, a relationship I'd watched from the sidelines, always pretending my jealousy was just concern. Now, standing in the wreckage of their breakup, I felt like an intruder. "I'm not disappearing," Sophia said, crossing her arms. "I'm moving on. You made it clear we were done." Claire's jaw tightened. "I was angry, Sophia. You think I wanted this?" She gestured at the boxes, the half-empty apartment. "You think I wanted to throw away everything we built?" Sophia's eyes flashed. "You threw it away when you walked out. Don't put this on me." I busied myself taping a box shut, the screech of the tape dispenser cutting through their words. I didn't want to hear this, didn't want to know the details of their unraveling. But Claire's next words stopped me cold. "Who's she?" she asked, nodding toward me without looking. "The friend you're always talking about? The one who's here the second I'm gone?" My cheeks burned. Sophia's head snapped toward me, her expression a mix of guilt and defiance. "Elena's helping me move," she said, her voice firm. "She's been my friend forever. Don't make this something it's not." But it was something now, wasn't it? Last night had changed everything, or so I'd thought. Doubt crept in, cold and sharp. Was I just a rebound? A distraction from Sophia's pain? I focused on the box, labeling it kitchen in shaky handwriting, trying to block out the ache in my chest. Claire softened, her voice dropping. "Sophia, I messed up. I know I did. But we can fix this. I still love you." The words hit like a physical blow. I glanced at Sophia, searching for her reaction, but her face was unreadable. She ran a hand through her hair, her locket catching the light as it swung against her chest. "Claire, you can't just show up and say that. Not after everything." "Then let's talk," Claire pressed, stepping closer. "Alone." Sophia hesitated, her eyes flicking to me again. "Elena, can you give us a minute?" The request stung, but I nodded, grabbing my jacket. "Sure. I'll grab coffee." I forced a smile, but inside I was unraveling. As I stepped into the crisp Chicago morning, the city's noise swallowed me, but it couldn't drown out the questions screaming in my head. What was I to Sophia? A moment of weakness? A mistake? I wandered to a nearby cafe, the smell of roasted beans doing little to calm me. Sitting by the window, I watched people pass, couples holding hands, friends laughing, lives moving forward while mine felt stuck in limbo. I'd spent years burying my feelings for Sophia, convincing myself she'd never see me as more than a friend. Last night had felt like a miracle, but now with Claire back in the picture, it felt like a cruel tease. My phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "I'm sorry about that. Can you come back?" I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to run to protect myself from whatever came next. But I couldn't abandon her, not now, not ever. When I returned, Claire was gone, and Sophia was sitting on the floor, surrounded by scattered photos. Her eyes were red, but she smiled when she saw me. "You okay?" she asked, as if I was the one who needed checking on. "Are you okay?" I countered, sitting beside her. I picked up a photo, a younger Sophia, grinning at a festival, her arm around me. I barely remembered that day, but she did. "She wants to try again," Sophia said quietly, staring at the locket in her hand. "She thinks we can fix things." My heart clenched. "And what do you think?" She looked at me, her eyes searching mine. "I think I'm done living in the past. But I'm scared, Elena. I don't know how to do this, how to start over, how to be us." The word us sent a shiver through me. I wanted to ask what it meant, to demand clarity, but her vulnerability stopped me. Instead, I took her hand, my fingers trembling. "You don't have to know everything right now," I said. "But I'm here. I've always been here." She squeezed my hand, her touch grounding me. "I don't deserve you," she whispered. We packed in silence after that, but the air felt different, lighter, hopeful. By evening, the apartment was nearly empty, just a few boxes left. Sophia suggested we order pizza, a small rebellion against the chaos of the day. As we sat on the floor, sharing slices and stories, I felt the spark between us reignite, fragile but real. But later that night, as I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, doubt crept back. Claire's words echoed in my mind. "I still love you." Sophia hadn't said she loved me, not in so many words. And as much as I wanted to believe in us, I couldn't shake the fear that I was just a placeholder, a safe harbor until Sophia figured out what she really wanted. The next morning, we loaded the last boxes into the moving truck. Sophia was quieter than usual, her eyes distant. As we stood outside, the Chicago wind whipping around us, she turned to me. "Elena, I need to tell you something." My stomach twisted. I braced myself, expecting the worst. But instead, she stepped closer, her voice low and steady. "I'm not going back to Claire. I don't know where Thesus is going, but I want to find out. With you." Relief flooded me, but it was tinged with fear. This was real now, no turning back. And as we climbed into the truck, headed for her new life in a new city, I knew the road ahead would be anything but easy. The highway stretched before us, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through Illinois fields. As Sophia drove the moving truck toward her new apartment in Minneapolis, I sat in the passenger seat, stealing glances at her, her hands steady on the wheel, her jaw set, her eyes flicking to the rearview mirror as if checking for ghosts. Last night's confession hung between us, a fragile promise that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. The radio played softly, some indie song about love and loss, and Sophia hummed along, her voice low and warm. I wanted to ask her 1,000 questions about Claire, about us, about what Minneapolis would mean for her, but I didn't know where to start. Instead, I fiddled with the zipper on my jacket, the sound loud in the quiet cab. "You're nervous," Sophia said, not taking her eyes off the road. It wasn't a question. I laughed, a shaky sound. "Is it that obvious?" She glanced at me, her smile soft but teasing. "You've been zipping and unzipping that thing for the last 10 miles. Spill it, Elena. What's going on in that head of yours?" I hesitated, my fingers stilling. I don't know what this is," I admitted. "You and me. Yesterday it felt like everything changed, but then Claire showed up, and now we're driving to a new city and I'm just scared I'm reading too much into this." Sophia's smile faded, and she pulled the truck onto the shoulder, the engine idling as she turned to face me. "Elena, I meant what I said last night. I want to figure this out with you. But I get it, it's a lot. I'm a lot. And I'm not exactly in a stable place right now. Her honesty disarmed me. I nodded, my throat tight. I just don't want to be the one you lean on until you find something better. Her eyes widened and she reached for my hand, her grip firm. You're not a placeholder. You've never been that to me. God, Elena, you're the one constant in my life. The one person who's always shown up, no matter what. Her words warmed me, but doubt lingered. I'd spent so long loving her from a distance, it was hard to believe I could be more. Then why does it feel like I'm competing with Claire? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Sophia sighed, leaning back in her seat. Claire was safe, predictable. But she never really saw me, not the way you do. I stayed with her because I was scared of being alone, scared of facing what I really wanted. She looked at me, her eyes fierce. I'm done being scared. My heart pounded. I wanted to believe her, to trust this fragile thing growing between us. But before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Sophia's just confused. She'll come back to me. Don't get too comfortable. It was Claire. My stomach churned. How did she even have my number? I showed Sophia the text and her face darkened. She's bluffing, she said, but her voice was tight. She's trying to get in your head. Is she? I asked, hating how small I sounded. Because she sounded pretty sure. Sophia took my phone, her fingers brushing mine as she typed a quick reply. Leave us alone, Claire. She hit send, then turned to me. I'm not going back to her. I promise. I nodded, but the text had planted a seed of doubt. We drove on, the conversation lighter but strained, as if Claire's shadow was riding with us. By the time we reached Minneapolis, the sun was setting, painting the skyline in hues of orange and purple. Sophia's new apartment was small but cozy, with big windows and a view of the city. We unloaded boxes in silence, the weight of the day settling over us. That night, we sat on the floor of her empty living room, eating takeout from a nearby Thai place. Sophia seemed lighter, laughing as she recounted stories from our teenage years, sneaking into concerts, getting caught in the rain, dreaming of lives bigger than our small town. I wanted to lose myself in her laughter, but Claire's text kept replaying in my mind. Elena, Sophia said, setting down her chopsticks. You're doing it again. Overthinking. I forced a smile. Can you blame me? This is new and complicated. She moved closer, her knee touching mine. It doesn't have to be. Not with you. She reached for my hand, her thumb tracing circles on my palm. I know I've got baggage. I know I'm a mess. But I want Thysis. I want you. Her words broke something in me. A dam I'd built to keep my feelings in check. I leaned in, kissing her, and this time it wasn't tentative or fleeting. It was hungry, desperate, a claiming of something we'd both been too afraid to name. When we pulled apart, her eyes were bright, her breath ragged. Stay, she whispered. Not just tonight. Stay with me, Elena. Move here. Start over with me. The words hit like a wave. Move to Minneapolis? Leave my job, my life in Columbus? It was reckless, impulsive, everything I wasn't. But looking at her, feeling the warmth of her hand in mine, I wanted to say yes. I wanted to leap. But before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Claire. You're making a mistake, Sophia. You'll see. The words were a cold splash of reality. A reminder that love wasn't just a feeling, it was a risk, a fight, a choice. The Minneapolis morning was crisp, the kind that made your breath visible and your fingers ache for a warm mug. Sophia and I stood outside her new apartment, unloading the last of the boxes from the truck. Her invitation to stay to move here, to build a life together hung in the air, unanswered. I wanted to say yes, to throw caution to the wind, but Claire's texts had burrowed into my mind, sowing doubt like weeds. Sophia seemed to sense my hesitation. She set a box down and turned to me, her breath clouding in the cold. You didn't answer me last night, she said, her voice gentle but probing. About staying. I shoved my hands into my pockets, avoiding her eyes. It's a big decision, Sophia. I want to, but I need time. Her face fell, but she nodded. I get it. I don't want to lose you. The vulnerability in her voice twisted something in me. I stepped closer, wanting to reassure her, but my phone buzzed again. Another text from Claire. She's not ready for you. She never will be. I deleted it, my jaw tight, but the words lingered. We spent the day settling Sophia into her new place. The apartment slowly took shapebooks on shelves, photos on the fridge, her favorite mug on the counter. It felt domestic, intimate, like we were building something together. But every time I let myself sink into that feeling, Claire's warnings pulled me back. That afternoon, Sophia suggested we explore the city. We wandered through a local market, the air filled with the scent of fresh bread and roasted nuts. She bought a small potted plant, joking that it was her new start symbol. I laughed, but my heart wasn't in it. I kept checking my phone, expecting another text, another barb from Claire. By evening, we were back at the apartment, curled up on her couch with a bottle of wine. The city lights sparkled outside, and for a moment it felt like we could be enough, just us, this moment. But then Sophia's phone rang, and her face paled when she saw the caller ID. "It's Claire," she said, her voice flat. She hesitated, then answered, putting it on speaker. "What do you want?" Claire's voice was sharp, cutting through the cozy warmth of the room. "I'm in Minneapolis. I need to see you, Sophia." We didn't finish our conversation. My stomach dropped. Sophia's eyes met mine, a silent apology. "Claire, I told you we're done. You need to stop this." "I'm not giving up on us," Claire said. "I'm at the coffee shop on Nicolette. Please just hear me out." Sophia ended the call, her hands shaking. "I'm sorry, Elena. I didn't know she'd follow me here." Anger flared in minute at Sophia, but at Claire, at the way she kept intruding, threatening to unravel everything. "Why can't she let you go?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant. Sophia sighed, rubbing her temples. "She's not used to losing." But I meant what I said. I'm done with her. I need to make that clear face to face. I nodded, though every part of me screamed to keep her here, safe from Claire's pull. "Do you want me to come with you?" She shook her head. "No, I need to do this alone. But I'll be back soon. I promise." She left, and the apartment felt too quiet, too empty. I paced, my mind spiraling. What if Claire convinced her? What if Sophia realized she wasn't ready for us, for me? I tried to distract myself, unpacking a box of her books, but my eyes kept drifting to the locket on the coffee table. It felt like a symbol of everything I was afraid of: Sophia's past, her indecision, my own insecurity. Hours passed. When Sophia finally returned, her face was drawn, her eyes red. She sank onto the couch, pulling her knees to her chest. "It's over," she said, her voice hollow. "I told her everything about us, about what I want. She didn't take it well." I sat beside her, my heart pounding. "What did she say?" Sophia laughed bitterly. "That I'm making a mistake. That you're just a rebound. A way to avoid dealing with my problems." She looked at me, her eyes searching. "But I told her she's wrong. You're not a rebound, Elena. You're everything." Her words should have been a relief, but they felt heavy, like a responsibility I wasn't sure I could carry. I took her hand, my voice soft. "I want to believe that, but I need you to be sure. Not just for me, but for you." She nodded, tears spilling over. "I am sure. But I'm scared too. The Susit's real, and that terrifies me. But I don't want to run from it anymore." We sat there, holding each other, the city humming outside. For the first time, I let myself believe we could do this, that we could build something real. But as I held her, I knew the hardest part was still ahead, not just facing Claire, but facing ourselves, our fears, our pasts. Weeks passed in Minneapolis, and Sophia's apartment began to feel like a home. We fell into a rhythm: mornings sipping coffee by the window, evenings exploring the city, nights tangled in each other, learning the shape of this new love. But Claire's shadow lingered, not in texts or calls, but in the quiet moments when Sophia's eyes grew distant, or when I caught myself wondering if I was enough. One chilly October evening, we attended a local art gallery opening, a small event Sophia had found in a community paper. The gallery was warm and crowded, filled with vibrant paintings and soft chatter. Sophia looked radiant, her blonde hair catching the light, her laughter easy as she talked to strangers. I watched her, my heart swelling, but also aching with the weight of what we built and what we could lose. As we wandered through the exhibits, Sophia stopped at a painting of two figures embracing under a starry sky. "This reminds me of us," she said, her voice soft. "Back when we were kids, sneaking out to that field behind your house, talking about the future. I smiled, remembering those nights, the way her dreams had always felt bigger than mine. You wanted to see the world, I said. And I just wanted to be wherever you were. She turned to me, her eyes bright with emotion. I didn't realize it then, but you were always my world, Elena. I was just too scared to admit it. Her words hit me like a tidal wave. I pulled her close, kissing her right there in the gallery, not caring who saw. For the first time I felt like we were solid, like we could face anything, Claire. Our doubts, the uncertainty of a new city. But life has a way of testing you. The next day I found a letter slipped under Sophia's door. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, Claire's handwriting unmistakable. I'm sorry for everything. I just want you to be happy. But if you ever change your mind, I'll be here. Sophia read it, her face unreadable, then tore it up and tossed it in the trash. She doesn't get to do this, she said, her voice firm. Not anymore. I nodded, but the letter stirred something in me, a reminder that love, even real love, is fragile. That night, as we lay in bed, I finally asked the question that had been burning in me since Chicago. Sophia, are you sure this is what you want? Not just me, but all of it. Starting over, building something new. She propped herself up on one elbow, her eyes locked on mine. Elena, I've spent my life running from my family, from myself, from what I really wanted. You're the first thing that's ever made me want to stay. I'm sure of you. I'm sure of us. Tears pricked my eyes, but they were the good kind, the kind that come from letting go of fear. I kissed her soft and slow, and for the first time I believed we could make it. Not because it was perfect, but because it was ours. Months later we stood in that same apartment, now fully ours, decorating a small Christmas tree. The locket was gone, given back to Claire with a note wishing her well. Sophia had found a job at a local bookstore, and I'd taken a leap, moving to Minneapolis and landing a freelance editing gig. It wasn't easy. There were fights, doubts, moments when the weight of our past threatened to pull us under. But we faced them together, choosing each other every day. As we hung the last ornament, Sophia wrapped her arms around me, her chin resting on my shoulder. Thank you, she whispered, for helping me move, for helping me find home. I turned in her arms, my heart full. You're my home too, I said, and meant it. Our story wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy, real, built on years of friendship and the courage to risk everything for love. But as we stood there, the city lights twinkling outside, I knew we'd made the right choice. Love wasn't just a feeling, it was a promise, a commitment to keep showing up, no matter what. And we were keeping it, one day at a time. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.